Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Paul K. Dunn, owner, advisor at Jay& Sons Cash Flow Advisors. And today's topic is cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. And I believe that this week's events is probably one of the best platforms to do training on because we can do a couple of things with this training. Part one, we can find out whose emotional value levels are high enough to play this game on a daily basis or a weekly or a yearly basis, because a lot of the highly emotional attached people will find these type of moves very what we call depressing. It will trigger anxiety. It will trigger the what we would call the emotion for action. Really, it will trigger that emotion to make people feel like they need to bail out. The boat look like it's going to sink, so you jump in the water with the sharks. At this point, um, if that becomes any of our beginner investors, that's totally fine. Everyone is not built to play on every level. However, we do want to point out some more importances. So even if you do bail, even if it's not, your game to play in by yourself, at least you've had that experience of what the people who make all of the money on Wall Street, the people who are driving all of the fancy cars and buying all of the fancy homes and stuff with pretty much your money. The people who are doing that, some of them make people money, some of them lose, but the reality is, a majority of people who can't handle this market pay them. Those on Wall Street or those who trade in these markets on a daily basis, they pay those guys to get a result. And this is the type of structure, this is the type of environment that they're in on a daily and a weekly basis. So we do have to point out that to be able to handle this right now is going to become a skill set. So if you do have high emotional attachment and you feel anxiety to the point where you want to bail ship, you want to, you've seen a loss, you want to get the rest of your money out, we totally get it, because at some point in time across the board, no matter how rich you are, no matter how smart you are, sometimes going forward, we run into those moments where we are presented with an option. And so the best thing that we can do is look at the facts and make a decision and then live with it. Okay, so we wanted to show today. So the second thing that's going to happen by being able to experience this market is that we'll have some beginner investors that feel that anxiety and that type of panic, and they're going to say, no, I'm not going to give in to that type of thing. So give me all of the facts and then let me make a decision based on that. And then some of those people will stick around and try to, keep their money there for the long haul. Um, and they will evolve as investors of their own money. Okay, they may not want to put that anxiety and that type of pressure on themselves by taking other people's money, but they're okay when it's their own money, because part one is we teach people to invest what you're okay losing in the first place. This way, we try to remove a lot of that emotional attachment in the beginning. So if you didn't do that in the beginning and you invested something that you wanted to come back, you thought, this was probably going to make me some money in the short term. So if it goes the way we want it to go, man, cool, I got Christmas money. But then you put so much in that it was uncomfortable to you because you were only focused on making money, not really taking into consideration that things can go the other way. That's when you're going to feel that pressure point to try to bail out. And so what we're going to have here is, for those investors that stick around and still want to do this, we're going to have some information that will allow you to really pay attention to what's going on and to better understand the market movements. Now, we've posted in the group already and we're going to post from different, different opinions and different viewpoints across the table from some of the people that we follow. But at the end of the day, like we said, for all of us, no matter how intelligent we are, no matter how smart we are, sometimes things are out of our control, and we cannot predict absolutely anything. We can use a chart, we can use information, and then we can have the best educated guess humanly possible, but that is still no guarantee as to what's going to actually happen, because there are so many other factors out of our control. And then the third thing we're going to do is we're going to point to some, I would say, some eye-opening facts about what this market really is, the potential of what this market could really be for the average individual. We don't want anyone pretending to be something they're not. If you're a beginner investor, please treat yourself that way. Don't beat yourself up over certain mistakes that you're going to make along the way. Just learn and learn and learn and learn and learn. And over time, your skill set will become so good because you're going to recognize certain experiences to be true as you see them evolving again, because all you can do is rely on experience. And a past experience is really good. When you know what the past has brought you, you're better equipped for the future, and you're able to take stronger risks in that movement. Now, as we mentioned in the beginning, we did teach you guys how to invest risk-free. If you haven't gotten to that stage yet, if you haven't pulled out your original investment, be patient with yourself. If you haven't watched that video, please go find it in YouTube. We will post a link for that once we upload this video, so we'll make sure you have access to that video as well in the links below. But we really want to point out a few things so that you can see what what I would call the evolutional shift as we're really moving into it. We've been talking about this for a while. We're really focused. We focused a lot of our attention on the Black community and how to shift their wealth back into their community, being that they have the lowest return rate back into their community of a lot of the ethnicities doing business today. They do not return dollars back into their neighborhoods and their cultures at a high enough level to make a major impact, and yet and still they're still becoming very, very profitable. They have a very our community really has a strong asset when it comes to being able to produce money. The evolution of wealth and that shift is now going to really turn the tables and give them a platform to be able to invest it, to leverage it, to tax advantage it, and to accumulate it even faster than before. So we really want to put out some principles throughout this video and make sure that you guys see this evolutional wealth shift that's really trying to distribute wealth a lot more equally than it has been done for the past 20, 30 years, we would say. There's a huge gap in the wealth equality in this country, in the United States. And that sort of pans across the country in a lot of ways. And then it spreads outside of the country and sort of takes on its own identity in other countries as well, where that wealth gap makes wealthy people richer and poorer people even poorer, simply because of the type of information that is generated between the two sets of people. So we want to show you some of that so that you can feel better about the fact that you need to be educated regardless of whether you're going to invest your own money or whether someone else is going to do it. We highly recommend that if you're going to let someone else invest it for you, that you learn along the way and that person allows you to play a part in that learning curve, even with a small portion of your own money, because that's the best way to learn. To just have someone take your money, and then for them to lock you out of all of the decisions, and then really just either bring you back a profit or a loss is really not going to evolve you as an investor, and it makes you more susceptible to scams and Ponzi schemes that sort of take from you at the highest levels, versus just having that education to where you can manage your own money, or you can actually watch over your own money and know that it's being managed okay, because you know what to do. Okay, so without further ado, what we're going to do is take you to a couple of different areas in the market. And the very, very first thing we want to attack is going to be the distribution of wealth. And we want you to understand that where we're going in cryptocurrency as a whole, not necessarily just Bitcoin, but this is why Bitcoin started. Where we are going is going to have a major shift in wealth, because rich people control everything and poor people just take what's given. They also take the consequences of the wealthy investors' mistakes. They sort of eat the consequences of those in higher taxes and higher cost of goods and services, and then less payout when it comes to jobs and services that they perform on a daily basis. So the first thing we want to do is we want to take Amazon.com. Everyone's familiar with Amazon, and what we want to show you is, first of all, that their chart's going to look very similar. Amazon's been running around, and we have a comparison here. So the red line, just to make sure you know what's going on, the red line is tracking Netflix, and the blue line is tracking Amazon, and it's just showing the difference in movements. And what we want to show you is that without going into detail of how the charts work, without worrying about any of the numbers, we just want to show you that it doesn't matter where you are in business, who you are in the world, that if you're in the financial markets, if you're dealing with people, emotion, if you're dealing with products, internet, business, it doesn't matter what you're dealing with. If it has something to do with money over time, in business, things that people can buy and sell, at the end of the day, it's going to have a chart that looks something like our economy, which is this. And that's an up and down movement. So you see, at one time, Amazon was, or Netflix and Amazon both followed the same pattern, where they went down, up, down, up, down, up, and then out of nowhere, they had these spikes. And then boom, down again, and then up. If you see, this is two major companies. They're just following the same pathway. Okay. And by the end of it, they're ending up in the same range, the same spots. Okay. This is what we're going through today in Bitcoin. Okay. So first things first is you see that pattern. So now what we're going to do is shift back to that wealth transfer. What we really want to show you here is we want to show you what one company is worth. Amazon by itself, one company, is worth $563 billion by itself. Amazon itself holds that amount of wealth alone. Okay? There's no Bezos, he runs the deal. Okay? This is his net worth, his company. Yes, he pays salaries. Yes, he pays for his shares. If you're fortunate enough to be able to buy a share, the shares are worth over $1,000 at the moment per share. Okay, so when it comes to that alone, the valuation of his company is very high, and it's the wealth of a single person. Okay, so what we want to show you is you take that 560 plus billion of one person, and then you bring it to a global market of cryptocurrency being worth only 500 billion. This is the entire cryptocurrency market. This is every company. There's over 1,375 cryptocurrencies out there. There's over 7,796 markets, which just mean different types of cryptocurrencies and movements and things that's happening. This is the spread of wealth. We've taken 568 billion from one person and we've spread it across millions of people. And that's huge because the government in its entirety is against this. There's no taxes here. They're trying to get taxes here. We stop investing in stock markets because we're making more money. It's not controlled by Wall Street investors who charge us first, give us profits later. We're able to do it ourselves. The market is called decentralized. It is a group of millions of people investing into one thing. We put $50 billion into that market in the last 24 hours of our money. Okay, so this is the first thing that you want to pay attention to, is that cryptocurrency represents decentralization of the wealthy controlling our financial system. That was the whole purpose behind the creation of Bitcoin in the first place. It was realized that in 2008, 2009, that it's time to make a shift. We're tired of the wealthy controlling everything, making mistakes, getting paid billions of dollars to make those mistakes and passing the bill to the middle class and the lower class income earners who work every day to make those guys rich in the first place. It does not work for the majority. And this is what's happening. Okay, so there's going to be attack on this. There's going to be ridicule on this. There's going to be panic spread, because at the end of the day, we're taking, if you look at the match, you got one company holding 560 something billion by itself, right? We no longer want to invest in that. We no longer want to put all of our eggs towards Amazon anymore, because our profits are what, 0.47%. They're going up. You know, you buy one share for $1,000. How many people can afford 1,000 shares of those to make sure that when it does go up to the green, you make any kind of money? You understand? Like these things go up $1 and $5 a day, but it's held by one company. And in order to invest there, usually you have to go through a third party to get to them, who you pay first. And then they put your money in this bucket. They deal with everything. So what you're looking at is you're looking at something that's changing the way we distribute money. The second part of this is Bitcoin itself. Now that we've pointed out the graph, we wanted to go back and just point the same 1 year graph of Bitcoin and show you that it's doing the same thing, but only since May. It's been flatline. Look, only since May did it start making some movements, looking very similar to what we were looking at over here. Yeah, very similar. It started to break out, and then all of a sudden, boom, hits that top. Same thing. Boom, it hits a top, then boom, it hits a bottom. Same thing. Boom, hits the top, then boom, comes down. These are normal movements in a market, but to the beginner investor who got in way up here because the hype was so strong, the peer pressure was so strong up here, get in, get in, get in. Then when that dip comes, you're on the losing end. You're a beginner investor. This is not something you do every day. All you see is loss. It's normal movements, guys. Normal movements. So you have two options. Okay, you have two options. We want to show you that everything in the top 15, the top 20, all the way up to the top 26, everything except, I would say, even though Ripple showing a 5% loss, Ripple was at $1 2 days ago. It was at 77 cents about 4 days ago. Ripple is moving, even though it's showing this Ripple move is moving up anyway. So aside from this one, the top 25 have all taken that dive, and some more than others. IOTA 35, 33, 20, 29, 26. They've all taken that cut. So you have two options. If you're in this thing for the long haul, you sit still. Now, our assets, we didn't choose Bitcoin as a long-term asset in the first place. We chose Bitcoin because the movement of the stock exchanges were coming on the 18th. So we wanted to take advantage. If there was going to be movement up, we wanted to be there when it happened. So that's where we shifted all our money. However, our long-term investments are not in Bitcoin itself. We have other investments like Cardano and NIM that are really our long-term investments. But due to all of the loss, all of the delays, our money has been locked in Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash for a couple of days now, just as far as movement and fees. And we don't want to keep moving back and forth because it's a fee every time you move. But NIM and Cardano are kind of tricky to buy when you're holding Bitcoin Cash. And since Bitcoin structure has been down and charging so many fees, we've moved our Bitcoin to Bitcoin Cash so that we can move it, because we wanted to move it back into our long-term investments. However, it's stopped us from doing that. So if you are in this thing for the long term, you can either hold on to your Bitcoin and just sit still for a while, because the reality is just last month, if we do just a 1 month chart, just last month, Bitcoin was only USD at about $8,000. So even though the drop is significant at, from where we were up at the 19 level, the drop is significant from up there, it's not as significant. It's still a price rise from last month. So anyone holding a month from now is still winning. And a lot of smart investors sort of cashed out a little bit of their coins and moved them on to their longer term investments and left their long term Bitcoin behind so that it keeps moving. So if it breaks back through to higher heights, they'll take advantage of both. They'll be able to move both around. So it's going to be very important that you know what you want to do. You can either hold on to your Bitcoin or you can bail while the ship is down. And this is where emotions take people. They bail while the ship is down when they're supposed to be buying more while the ship is down. Wealthy people buy at these points. This is closer to where it was last month. It's been at a 19. A wealthy person would see that drop, and they would more than likely they would buy in as much as they could afford to lose. At this point, they wouldn't be buying at the all-time highs. They would just be watching and waiting. Once that all-time high is reached, they need to watch and wait for their entry point. Otherwise, they don't buy. Scared investors buy up here, assuming that it's going to keep going up. And when it doesn't go up, they get scared and they bail at the bottom instead of just waiting. Okay. So if you end up getting caught at the top and there's information that it can go up higher than where you bought in, and you believe that information, you just sit still. So there is information that it can go back up higher. They are still working on the network, the Lightning Network, to make fees cheaper, to make things faster. So yeah, there's still work going on Bitcoin. There will be another rally the same way it was this month. There'll be another rally again, or expected. But that's all due to no regulations or anything else coming into play during this time. Okay. So this really helps me to teach beginner investors how to control their emotions. It's very important that you understand loss is good. Corrections are good. No matter how big, corrections are good. And you have to play these games for long term. There's a few traders out there that understand how to make money going up and down. And I highly advise that you always hedge. That's my advice, is that you hedge. You buy something that you believe is going up, and you also take advantage of something in case the market goes down, You have both in place. If your bet is stronger on the going up part, then you bet a little bit on the going down, and you bet a little bit more on the going up. But that's just one of the strategies we use as an investor, is that we want to not over diversify, but we want to at least hedge ourselves. So if we think one is going up, we have to go with something else that we believe can capture value if that one we're betting on goes down. And that is what we call technique. Those are skill sets that we had to learn over time. It's not an overnight deal. It's something you learn piece by piece, but once you get it and get to experience it, at the end of the day, man, you can really become a savvy investor by just taking on board what we're teaching and just learning how to handle your money, even from the point of recognizing what's happening. Don't let anyone complicate it for you to where you can at least recognize what's going on, even if you choose not to handle your money yourself. So in 2018, we will be putting together some things where we will be able to handle certain accounts peer to peer, so that it doesn't break any regulations. We are looking for a lot of those ways in. This market allows us to do that without consequence of being controlled by the government. We have everyone's best interest at heart. We want to make sure people are doing the right thing. We want to make sure you're investing long-term thinking and short-term execution. If you're going to trade, or if you want your money in a daily trading, we will have a professional trader who takes that money and they watch it every day. They take advantage of it every day until we get our system up. I believe it's going to be coming up in January. We're going to be looking into a system that has a bot, and it's called a smart machine. So this smart machine goes through, it compares research, and then it goes out into the market and it uses that successful research to build portfolios, to buy assets, to expose your money in a way where it's highly intelligent without you needing to be the one to do that, and without us needing to hire specialized people to do that. We can monitor it and make sure that it's doing what it's supposed to do. But at the end of the day, these robots will be taking over the Wall Street investors who charge upwards of, I believe he was saying upwards of 50 to 60% of profits in some cases, because they're winning so big and they control the market. So look out for those things. We will be putting those things together so that our cash flow advisor system has the intelligence to make smart buys, and we don't have to sit here every day and sort of look at every piece of information and make those moves ourselves. A bot can do that 24/7 without the need to eat, without the need to buy fancy things. And that's the direction we're going. So right now, as you're experiencing this as a beginner investor, you're seeing what the market's doing. You're seeing how it's going down. You see how it compares to stock markets. It's all similar things. It's different technology behind it. There's still businesses behind these coins, even though people may think there's no intrinsic value. There is value in the technology behind cryptocurrency. That's what makes it so unique, and that's what we invest in. And this market will be highly comparable to the Forex industry. That Forex industry right now currently trades $5.7 trillion a day, every day, I think it's 5 days a week, 24 hours a day. It trades different currencies in and out, and people make livings doing that. I believe that this market is sort of creating a hybrid where it takes stock, where it takes foreign exchange, it takes big computer business, the internet. It takes a whole bunch of things and throws it into one area. Okay, so there's a lot to learn here. So we really want to make sure that you guys understand the depth of this without making it complicated. It's very easy when you just think of it in the sense of this is a long-term move. People up to this point have already gotten rich because they were in it 6, 7 years ago. They were in it even 3 to 5 years ago. Even since this year, even being in it a year ago, you've come up on your money so much by just saying this is the long-term effect that we're going to be putting forth. We're not moving. We're going to invest into this thing, and then you have to focus a lot of your attention on making sure you stay um, diversified, perfectly diversified to where you're not over diversified, you're not under diversified. Putting your money into too much will spread your profits very thin. It will spread your holdings. It will allow losses to be amplified. Just having a great focus and a belief in the companies and the coins that you are investing in is going to go a long way. If you want to become wealthy, you have to practice that now, because no business built themselves, especially businesses like Amazon. They didn't build themselves to $563 billion in one night. It took them years and years of mastering what they do, going through their pains, their growing pains, and doing things. If you look at Amazon, even back 5 years ago in 2014, Amazon was only worth the same way. It was only worth $267 to buy one share back in those, in that time. And then, it would go up to four, and it would come back down to threes and twos. And they just kept doing what they needed to do. And before you know it, look what happened. Just took off. And today you're looking at the same pattern as what Bitcoin is doing. So no one believes that Amazon's going to bust as a bubble, because we know what Amazon sells. We buy from them all the time. Well, just go experience Bitcoin. Start buying things with Bitcoin. Start seeing that you can move your money around it. The blockchain and things like that. It's really a hybrid system. So you have to pay attention to this, and either you're going to become an investor and stay educated, or you're going to bail and say, this isn't for me, but I still want to stay educated and let someone else handle my money, which we're going to try to help you with. From January 2018, we're going to put in place to be able to help you. So if you're not in a group, please get in the group. We're going to post a link down at the bottom of this, so it's easy for you to get access. But if you're in the group, ask any type of questions you need to ask. Make sure that you understand our principles stand. Okay, it's not enough just to make money. Okay, a million made can be a million lost. Investing is power. You have to know how to invest your money, or you will live from paycheck to paycheck the rest of your life. Warren Buffett says it best: if you don't understand how to make money in your sleep, you will live paycheck to paycheck for the rest of your life. So those that want to start to learn now and want to get that education in place and put themselves on the path to greatness in financial intelligence and having financial freedom down the road in life, come on board now. Ask any questions you need to ask. Stay tuned with us. Make sure you're sticking with us and joining the group, talking to people in the group, connecting with them, and helping out where you can. Okay. We'll be posting more videos in the group. Hopefully you took something away from this. We wanted to get on and just help people to really understand where things are going. You have two options: either get out, let someone else handle your money, or stay in and experience the ride and experience that turnaround to see, if as long as everything goes according to plan, you can experience that ride back up to new heights with the money that, where you sit now. And so it's good luck from here. We wish you success, prosperity, and abundance in all that you do. This is Paul K. Dunn, and may you have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.